Hello everyone, this is Mr. Brain Junkie here, and today we'll be talking about a science fiction monster film called Monster of the Deep. Be ready for some spoilers ahead. Somewhere inside the ocean, a giant creature is approaching a fishing boat while a woman is taking a shower inside and somehow still having all her makeup intact. Suddenly, the gigantic monster begins launching its tentacles towards the entire crew while causing tremendous damage on the boat and sending all the people flying into the air like a bunch of insects. Very soon, the creature manages to destroy the shower room and causing the woman to run outside immediately while all the others are being torn apart by the raging monster. This eventually causes the boat to begin sinking inside the ocean, while the woman decides to jump off the structure alongside her apparently indestructible bathrobe. However, she is quickly devoured by the monster like a giant dumpling instead, as the entire vessel disappears inside the mysterious ocean. 3 years after this tragic incident, a black box resurfaces on top of the water beside another shipping boat, while the sailors quickly retrieve the object onto the deck like simpletons, not realizing the danger that's stored inside the container. At the same time, a young boy called June notices what the people just found and decides to tell his sister Belle, who's keeping inventory of a precious gem inside the safe. This causes them to go towards the other sailors immediately, but when they eventually made it towards the people, they quickly realize that the entire crew is trying to eat the octopus creature like a giant sushi. However, just before the man can devour the animal, the creature launches inside the person's mouth and causing the human to choke on the ground. The people try to help out immediately, but only to see the monster's tentacles shooting out from the victim's mouth and causing all the workers to run for their lives. The woman sees that the sailor is being choked out by the mutating monstrosity and tries to go rescue the person by pulling the tentacles away, but only ends up becoming the victim instead. This causes Belle to fall towards the ground from the creature's terrible French kissing, as her DNA begins to be altered by the monster as well. At the same time, inside a nearby city, the main character called Zhang is running a food stand and barely manages to pay his bills, but his brother-in-law called Lao thinks that they can change their fortunes very soon. The two goes inside a sushi restaurant where Zhang only seems to care about feeding his daughter, while Lao reveals that there's a job which pays a lot of money, but it requires Zhang's extensive military experience. This makes the main character think that Lao's job must be illegal in nature, but their conversation is quickly interrupted by the daughter's coughing, which reveals that the girl has a very serious illness. With no other choice, the two quickly rushes towards the nearby hospital, while Zhang begins having flashbacks of his wife, as they were also rushing towards the emergency room not so long ago. However, the two were having a fight about their financial situation, which eventually caused Zhang to crash into the incoming truck and ultimately led to the unfortunate death of his wife. This causes the main character to realize that he cannot lose his daughter as well, and the man has no choice but to accept Lao's offer for the job. At the same time, inside the boat with the octopus monster, June has managed to survive alongside the captain of the ship, but the sailor decides to eventually go confront the giant creature for killing his crew. The man rushes towards the kitchen with anger and sees that the monster is still inside the room, which allows him to attack the enemy right away by cutting off its tentacle. However, before the man can finish the kill, the sea creature quickly grabs onto the human's arm and completely overpowering the captain as it drags the human across the floor. Realizing that he's been outmatched, the captain tries to run immediately, but is only grabbed onto by the enemy once again, as he tries desperately to pull away from the giant monster. Before the captain can break free, he notices that June is right behind the door, which causes him to shout for the boy to run before sacrificing himself and giving the boy a chance to escape. At the same time, Belle manages to regain consciousness and stumbles her way towards the cargo container as she tries to hide inside the safe, but the woman is clearly feeling the after effect of having bedtime exercises with the tentacle monster. What's even worse, she realizes that something is very wrong with her body, as the creature has left something in her stomach after their brief encounter and is waiting for her to come outside. On the other side, Zhang is heading towards their new job while being accompanied by a group of mercenaries hired by Lao, but the man quickly realizes that something is wrong as he sees boxes of weapons inside the boat. This causes the man to become furious as he realizes that Lao is planning to commit robbery with the guns, and the main character refuses immediately to proceed with the the crime. It's quickly revealed that Lao is trying to steal the expensive gem from Belle's boat, and the man reminds Zhang that this is the only way to make enough money for his daughter's surgery, while forcing the main character to back down in silence. Very soon, the people makes it into an area filled by mysterious fogs, and eventually arrives upon their targeted boat, but they're unable to contact the people using any of their radios. This gives them no other choice but to climb onto the ship with their weapons like a bunch of pirates, while planning to take over the entire boat by force, but the people are surprised to see that the watercraft appears to be completely abandoned. The team eventually manages to find a way towards the inside as they carefully move across the hallways, and the people are shocked to find large amounts of blood on the floor, which indicates that violence must have occurred here recently. What they don't realize is that the tentacle monster is already aware of the people's presence as it slowly approaches the mercenary guards on the outside and scaring one of the men onto his back. However, the other person is completely unaware about the danger, but soon notices that his friend has somehow disappeared. This causes him to go investigate immediately, only to realize in shock that they are being attacked by a massive tentacle that's much bigger than his own. The man begins running desperately the opposite way, but is quickly captured by the monster and strangled to death by the horrific creature. At the same time, Lao has eventually decided to split up with the main character to cover more ground, while Belle is also getting out from the cargo container, and she immediately hears the incoming mercenaries rushing her way. This causes her to hide behind the walls, but she's soon discovered by the people and held hostage at gunpoint, while being demanded to reveal the location of the precious stone. With no other choice, the woman decides to bring the people towards the cargo container, but claims that she needs the password card to open the gates, which are located inside the navigation's room. Very soon, the mercenaries bring the woman towards the second floor, and they rush inside the doors immediately, while trying to look for the password card inside every cabinet, but did not manage to find the object anywhere. This causes the mercenaries to threaten the woman once again, as they realize that Belle has been lying this whole time, but their conversation is quickly interrupted by a loud noise inside a metal container on the floor. Lao hears this and decides to open the doors, only to see that Belle's younger brother June was able to survive as well, but this also allows the mercenaries to use the boy as a bargaining chip and forcing the woman to help them steal the stone. On the other side, Zhang and his team has arrived inside the ship's kitchen, while finding even more of the sticky liquids, but before they can investigate further, they are told by their boss to return back to the navigation's room immediately. However, before the people can leave the area, they quickly realize that something is wrong, as a massive tentacle with teeth appears behind one of their friends and pulling the man directly towards the ceiling. This causes the people to fire their weapons immediately, but the monster manages to avoid the bullets inside the air vents while trying to ambush the humans from behind. Luckily, Zhang is able to repel the enemy using a flame torch, while giving the people the chance to run for their lives. But before the humans can escape from the area, they quickly realize that the monster is already waiting for them on the other side. With no other choice, the team decides to back away slowly while hoping to hide their presence from the flesh-eating tentacle. But the giant monster seems to be determined to capture the humans as it continues probing every corner of the room. The creature's terrifying presence eventually causes the people to panic while alerting the giant monster and forcing the humans to run away from the location immediately. However, one of the big boys is obviously lacking cardio as he quickly falls down behind while begging for help, but is only pulled away by the creature like a giant human hamburger. This allows the other people to escape right away as they slam the door in front of the monster just in time. Very soon, the survivors make it back towards the others and immediately tells the group about what happened, but Lao has trouble believing their seemingly crazy words, even when Belle confirms the existence of the monster as well. However, before the people can finish talking, they are interrupted by a loud noise from the windows, and the people are shocked to see even more tentacles outside, which have completely surrounded the humans from all sides. It's quickly revealed that the gigantic octopus is directly on top of their room, but before the people can back away from the windows, a tentacle breaks inside and begins killing the humans horrifically. This causes the people to fire all their guns while trying desperately to hold the monster back, but the bullets don't seem to be very effective against the giant creature. Luckily, before the people can all be killed, Zhang quickly grabs onto a flare gun and fires directly into the monster's mouth, which allows the survivors to escape immediately away from the area. However, while everyone is rushing down the stairs, the young boy accidentally falls between the metal floor floor, which allows the tentacle monster to quickly appear behind the people. Surprisingly, the giant creature refuses to attack the infected woman, which gives Sign the chance to grab onto an axe as he rushes forwards to strike the monster furiously and forcing it to retreat. This allows the people to quickly escape from the location as they eventually catch up with the escaping mercenaries as well. Very soon, the group manages to make it towards the cargo area, but instead of leaving immediately, allow the man's bell to open the safe for the precious stone. As he refuses to return home empty-handed, Zhang sees this and tries to stop his brother-in-law, but is only forced away at gunpoint by the other people, while they bring the woman towards the cargo box and forcing her to open the lock immediately. This gives Belle no other choice but to comply, as she eventually brings the mercenaries inside the gem's location, and the people are finally able to retrieve the precious object. However, they are quickly interrupted by something from behind, and the people are shocked to see numerous humans kneeling on the ground with foreign objects inside their mouths. It turns out that the octopus monster has been using the people to give birth to his offsprings, while Belle realizes that she must be pregnant as well, after having some naughty fun time with the tentacle creature. However, before the people can leave the area, Lao is quickly attacked by the monster from behind, which causes all the humans to fire their guns at the gigantic octopus, but this only manages to make the creature even more angry in the process. Very soon, the massive sea monster throws its victim towards the walls and causing Lao to drop the gem, but the mercenaries are forced to retreat immediately as they rush towards the door and barely makes it outside. Zhang sees this and quickly decides to sprint inside the cargo box alongside his friends, but eventually realizes that the monster has no intentions of leaving this area. With no other choice, the people decide to hide inside the container temporarily, while Belle takes the chance to exhibit her female assets and using her clothing to help bandage the main character's injury. This causes them to want to begin their bedtime exercises immediately, but Zhang quickly decides to decline the offer and reveals that he already has a daughter at home, as he refuses to pay any more child supports in the future. However, their conversation is quickly interrupted by the mercenaries talking through the radio, and Lao promises to come for the rescue, but also orders Zhang to go retrieve the diamond in the process. Very soon, the mercenaries charge out from hiding and begin shooting their guns to distract the monster, which allows the main character to quickly grab onto the gem before rushing away from the giant creature. Unfortunately, this also gives the enemy the chance to kill one of the survivors, while the people are trying desperately to hold back the monster. Zhang sees this and quickly grabs onto a gas container before throwing it directly towards the massive octopus, while allowing his brother to fire the gun towards the canister and causing a huge explosion in the process. This finally gives the people a chance to run away, as they eventually escape into another room and quickly locking the door, but the people soon realize that the other exit has been locked as well. Things become even worse when Belle begins hearing the tentacle monster's presence, as the creature starts knocking behind the door furiously to get inside. Realizing that they're in terrible danger, Zhang eventually finds another way to escape through the venting system on the ceiling, and quickly tells the people to run away as he tries to hold back the vicious animal on the other side. This allows the survivors to climb inside the ventilation immediately as they begin crawling through the narrow pathway, and Belle eventually notices that Zhang is able to make it inside as well. However, the people quickly notice that something is wrong as the giant tentacle finally breaks open the metal door while trying to hunt down the humans like prey. The survivors sense the danger and tries to move as quietly as possible, but the monster suddenly breaks inside the venting system and causing the mercenaries to rush away like cowards. Belle sees this and immediately turns the other way with her brother, but the creature eventually collapses the crawl space behind them while separating the two from the main character by completely blocking off the entrance. With no other choice, Zhang is forced to continue the other way as he eventually catches up to the other men while quickly rushing towards the outside of the boat, but the main character is clearly hesitant about leaving his friends behind. Very soon, the mercenaries manage to return back to their own boat, and Lao quickly decides that they must escape from this location right away, but Zhang refuses to leave while realizing that his friends are probably still alive. This causes the man to rush back immediately and returning towards the transport vessel, while seeing that his brother has decided to leave him after all. However, what Lao doesn't realize is that his mercenary friends are actually planning to betray him and steal the precious stone, as they secretly grab onto their weapons and striking the man right on the head before taking away the diamond as well. Surprisingly, instead of giving up, Lao Lau quickly retaliates against the traitors and getting back the gem before rushing outside to escape from the people, but the mercenaries continue attacking him relentlessly from behind. Luckily, Lau manages to eventually stab the opponent right in the chest and kicking the enemy away, but is immediately confronted by the second mercenary, who quickly stabs the man by using a knife as well. However, Lau manages to knock the enemy away and throwing the mercenary across the floor before strangling the person by using all his strength and eventually killing the traitor as a result. Despite finally defeating the attackers, Lau falls down from his bleeding injury as well and eventually perishes alongside his greedy companions. At the same time, Belle and her brother are finally able to escape from the venting system, but the woman quickly begins feeling unwell as her physiology is clearly mutating. What's even worse, the girl eventually grabs onto a kitchen knife as she slowly approaches her brother like a walking zombie, but it turns out that she's only trying to make a weapon to protect them both from the tentacle monster. What they don't realize is that the creature is quickly approaching towards their location, but it turns out that Zhang is able to find the people just in time as the woman embraces the main character right away. However, before the survivors can leave this area, they are able to find the black box that surfaced alongside the monster, and Zhang decides to play the video inside the device to find out the truth. This quickly revealed that the giant octopus was actually a failed experiment from a secret laboratory, and the scientist eventually lost control of the monsters, which means that there are many more of these creatures inside the ocean. This causes the people to realize that they must leave right away, as they try desperately to escape from this giant boat and eventually making it towards the outside. However, the monster quickly manages to locate the humans and knocking Zhang away like a flying ragdoll. Belle sees this and rushes forwards to stab the giant creature furiously before quickly running towards the lifeboats to escape from the giant monster. Surprisingly, instead of leaving altogether, Zhang tells the woman to take care of his daughter as he lowers the vessel towards the ocean while he plans on fighting the monster all by himself. The man begins luring the creature away from his friends while the tentacles are following him closely behind, which eventually causes the giant octopus to launch out from the boats inside. Zhang sees this and tries desperately to dodge the monster's attacks as he barely avoids being crushed like a human pancake by the massive enemy. Very soon, the main character manages to leap away from the boat while the sea creature is trying continuously to devour the human, but Zhang eventually manages to land into the ocean instead. However, the giant monster quickly drops into the water as well, and the main character realizes that his friends are in danger once again as the massive octopus is heading towards the others. This causes the man to begin taunting the tentacle monster as he points his gun and fires directly onto the giant enemy's head, and quickly managing to make the sea creature charge towards his direction instead. What the monster doesn't realize is that Zhang is planning to sacrifice himself by using the dynamites as the man dives under the ocean's surface while swimming directly towards the mutated creature. Very soon, the main character manages to arm the explosives as he eventually enters the monster's gigantic jaws before causing a huge explosion that completely obliterates the sea creature into a million pieces. This eventually allows the survivors to escape from the area, but June realizes that something is very wrong with his sister, and the boy watches in shock as the woman transforms into something horrific right in front of his eyes. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my videos, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.